Welcome to another panel, virtual panel of our virtual open house at Boston College. Listen, I wish that you could come see us on campus. Our campus is wicked good looking, and we have beautiful space, and the hospitality is top notch. But circumstances have conspired to keep us separate. But the college process keeps rolling on. And as much as we don't like the way it is right now, a lot of you out there are applying to college and are going to go to college in a year. So it's our job to recreate as best we can life at Boston College. In this particular topic tonight, we're going to explore a topic that is pretty much a certainty for all the students that are watching us tonight. But there are a lot of different stories and a lot of things to understand and know about. So I brought a lot of people along with us. These 5 students are volunteering their precious Wednesday night and not watching whatever's on TV. I couldn't even tell you. To spend some time with you guys to understand a little bit about what the community is like at Boston College, certainly when it comes to residence life. So I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions that I know from being a part of the BC community for many years. I'm your host. My name is Chris O'Brien. I'm an associate director of admissions, a real live admissions counselor. And I'm going to moderate a discussion through these 5 students who have done pretty well in terms of navigating through life, both social life and otherwise at Boston College, with this particular lens pointed at residence halls, roommates, dining options, programming, how people use their space, every twist and turn that we can talk about in terms of being a member of our residence community. So without further ado, I'm going to have them introduce themselves. There's 5 of you. So why don't we go in alphabetical order, first name, and your introduction will be who you are. If you have a Boston accent, that's a plus, B-Joy. Who you are and where you're from. And then people like to know like what you study so they can judge you. And then maybe you can talk about what the most important thing in your residence hall room is right now. For all these people that are going to be moving away to college, they want to know what to pack, what's important, what's the most crucial thing in your room right now. And after you've done that, we'll sort of pass it along to the next one. So again, my powers of deduction tell me that B-Joy, you're first. Why don't you give us an introduction of yourself?
Great. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is B-Joy. I'm a junior at BC studying finance and managing for social impact in the Carroll School of Management. And I have a double major in computer science in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. And I'm originally from Glen Allen, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. And the most important thing in my room, I actually just got it this year, is a monitor for my online classes. So I connect it with a USB-C cord, and now I can have my messages and my email over here, and then I can focus on my Zoom calls on my laptop, which has been proven to help me with my organizational skills for sure.
Tremendously nerdy, but helpful. Very well done, B-Joy. Way to get us started with a good introduction. Ikram, you're next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ikram, and I'm a junior from San Antonio, Texas. I'm double majoring in English and Communications in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences, and I also have a minor in marketing from the Carroll School of Management. And I think definitely the most important thing or the most beneficial thing that I have in my room right now is a mattress pad that I'm sitting on that's on top of my mattress, and it definitely makes sleep so much better. And also I spend a lot of time sitting on my bed taking online classes, so it's definitely a good thing to have.
Are you saying that the standard issue mattresses that Boston College distributes are not the most comfortable mattress you've ever slept on in your life?
I'm sad to say, but that is true. They are not.
But you can make a pretty easy accommodation to make it really comfortable for yourself.
Yes, with a $30 mattress pad from Amazon, so.
Okay, well, I guess you've made a plug. Jeff Bezos will just get a little bit more richer because of what you've done. Well done. Moving along, my knowledge of the alphabet puts me at J. So Jacky, you're next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacky. I'm a junior majoring in communication in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences and minoring in finance in the Carroll School of Management. I'm from Manalapan, New Jersey, and this thing you're not really allowed to have your freshman year, but sophomore year and on, you are allowed to get a coffee maker, which for me, I'm not the chirpiest person in the morning, but I take those morning classes. So every single day, my roommates and I will brew a cup of coffee, and it just kind of gets our day going, and it's very helpful as well.
Very good. So is it like a single brew cup thing, or is it like a standard office type coffee maker?
So we actually have two in here right now because we are literally so obsessed with coffee. So we have a mini Keurig, which is like the single cup, and then we have like the standard coffee maker as well.
Okay. So by the afternoons, are you guys pretty jittery and shaky, or does that just get you to normal?
Normal, I would say. I think sophomore year I did it where I was a little bit jittery, but now I'm just complete. Like, this is good. This is a good energy that I have.
Well done. Another vote for coffee. All right, Lubens.
Hello, hello. My name is Lubens Benjamin. I am a sophomore from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I am concentrating in marketing in the Carroll School of Management. I also have a minor in philosophy in the Moore College of Arts and Science. And I think number one essential you need is a laundry hamper. You see, my freshman year, I had the mistake of forgetting to get one before I came here. So I'm like, oh, my clothes are dirty. Where am I going to put them? So I had to Amazon Prime a hamper to my dorm really quickly. And you will learn to do laundry. You'll do your own laundry. Life skills, you know.
So are you an expert now? The fabric softener, the whole bit?
I was an expert before college, and now that I'm here, I'm like a level 5 like master or something at laundry. Tide pods and all. Don't eat them.
Good advice. Good advice. Thanks, Lubin. Boy, we're really serving a lot of different purposes tonight. Don't eat them.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, we have an elder statesman joining us, Sophia. So bring us home with our introductions. And again, talk about what is the most important thing that's in your room right now.
I would love to. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Christophis. I am a senior in the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences studying biology on the pre-med track with a minor in medical humanities. And I'm from Medford, New Jersey. I don't think I said that yet. And the most important thing that I have right now is my mini fridge, because with online classes and everything, if I don't have to leave my room, why would I? So what I do is I'll go to the dining hall and like get a couple meals and stock up and keep them in my mini fridge, and then bonus, heat them up in my microwave, and I'm good to go. So that's my current fave for the year.
Excellent. Excellent. All good advice for all of our future college students, whether that's BC or otherwise. You want to make sure that you come prepared, or that you acquire the things that you need via some website, which will remain nameless for now. Can we talk a little bit about from the beginning? So all of you choose to come to Boston College, and one of the first things you're asked to do is to tell us that you want to live in housing. Very few students commute freshman year, so we expect you to live in housing, especially if you're from like Glen Ellen, Illinois or Texas. So talk a little bit about roommate selection and how, let's just pick a couple of you, how you went about choosing or putting yourself out there to find a roommate. I'll pick on B-Joy. Why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Yeah, so I went random. So there's a couple ways you can go. I can talk about the random process, but essentially what BC Res Life does is they do a little survey when you sign up for housing, and you sign up to say that you want to live on campus. And the survey includes things like how late you go to bed at night, where do you like to do work, what kind of sports or activities you like to do, stuff like that, just to gauge interest into seeing how you would match with some other roommate. And so from that survey, they pair you with a random roommate that matches some of those similar interests and has some of the same ideals as you. And so it was really nice. It kind of worked out. We don't live together anymore, but we had a good first year, and now we live with different people, and we see each other around campus, and we say hi to each other. So not my best friend, but definitely pleasant to live with.
Pleasant to live with. What a beautiful compliment. I'm sure they really treasure that. But it's important because there certainly is a difference between a best friend and someone who's good to live with. I think we've all had those experiences. Even I look back on that as well from my college days. How about one of you that went in a different direction, that either found a roommate through one of the processes or were matched somehow? Can someone talk a little bit about not going random and doing something a little bit more proactive?
Yeah, I can take this one. So what I did was I found my own roommate via the Facebook group for our class year. And so basically when everybody got into Boston College, they would post their pictures and like a little blurb saying what kind of things you're into, just a basic intro. And so I would scroll through those and message random people and see if we'd be a good fit. And I found my roommate Courtney, who I then lived with sophomore year, and now I'm an RA, but she still lives with my whole friend group. And basically what I was able to do through the Res Life housing application that Bjoy mentioned was just put in that I wanted to live with name, email address, and then BC Res Life just got that all sorted. And it worked out really, really well because I had people that I knew that I had met through orientation and whatnot. She had people that she met, and we kind of meshed together and made this great friend group. So
Perfect. Perfect. So it can work out either way. And the important thing is finding someone who you can live with, that you can work with, perhaps become a great friend with, but it doesn't have to be your maid of honor. It doesn't have to be your best man. It could just be someone who shares the same values in terms of putting your life together in a room, which is your freshman room is, well, maybe you know the dimension, Sophia. You work in residence life, but I mean, I think it's maybe 14 foot by 20 feet or something like that. It's not super big, but it's a room that we can share. So that's the important thing. When you live in freshman housing, there are two distinct campuses. So we're going to have to talk about the Newton campus and the upper campus. The other big delineator that happens to first year students, and probably the first icebreaker or question you ask another first or second year student, or maybe a senior if you've just met them, about where you lived and zero in on what that means. So I need a representative who lived on the upper campus, and I need someone who lived on the Newton campus. So how about one of you that lived on the Newton campus sort of step in here and talk a little bit about what it's like to live on that campus that has a smaller fraction of BC students, but certainly has a life of its own.
Yeah, I would love to talk about Newton campus. So Newton campus houses 40% of the freshman class. I lived at Duchesne Hall. Bjoy also lived in my dorm, so we saw each other all the time last year. But essentially, it's a self-sufficient run campus. So you're going to have the 3 main dorms for freshmen on there. You're going to have your own gym. There's a lot of green space. You have your own dining hall. It's really nice. So the difference between Newton campus and upper campus is directly adjacent to main campus, all your academic dorms, where Newton campus is around 1.5 miles away. So typically what will happen is there's going to be buses that go to and from Newton campus all day, every day. So that's never a problem when it comes to coming to main campus or going home as well. I thoroughly enjoyed Newton. Everyone who loves Newton basically lived on Newton. Someone on the upper is going to typically love upper as well. And then one question that we really get with housing a lot, especially with the 2 campuses of freshmen, is if you're on Newton campus, are you only going to make friends with those on Newton? And that is 100% no. I've had so many friends who live on upper campus as well. They would visit me on the weekends. I would go to upper campus after my classes and things like that. So the freshman class is definitely very cohesive, even though we are on 2 different campuses.
Okay, that's spoken from a Newton residence perspective. How would somebody who lived on the upper campus respond to that or add to that?
Yeah, I lived in Fenwick Hall, which is, I call it the heart of upper campus because Father Casey lives there, my favorite Jesuit on campus. And it was such a cool experience too, living in such a big building. I feel like every day walking into the building, I'd see new people, I'd meet new people, I'd make new friends. There's a lot of living learning communities too offered for first year students, and a lot of them were on upper campus. There's Kostka Hall, which is a women's dorm. There's the MLE multicultural learning experience floor, where you get to be surrounded by people from all different cultures, and being around people like that and LLCs like that really enhance my time at BC, just because I'm around and surrounded by people from such diverse backgrounds. And I think my favorite part about upper campus is sort of that springtime when everyone has adjusted and everyone has known each other for a long time. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, everyone's outside near the basketball courts playing around, playing spike ball, shooting hoops, throwing footballs, being active. reading, doing homework, whatever you name it. Like they were doing it out there. It's kind of like our own little freshman quad without the quad. So that was one of my favorite parts of my freshman year.
Okay, so we established what campus you're on, but when you arrive in your room, what's in it? What do you have in your freshman room? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, pretty much all freshman dorms, whether you live on Upper and Newton, have all the same basic things. So obviously you have a bed and a mattress, and then you also have a dresser, a desk, and a chair. And sometimes in some dorms, I don't think all of them have them, but they also have like some built-in shelves on the wall, and that's also really nice. There's definitely a lot of storage space, which is great if you bring a lot of things or even if you accumulate things throughout your freshman year.
Did you think about when you moved in? Did you have too much stuff or not enough stuff as a first year student? Do you remember?
I definitely forgot a lot of things. So I'm from Chicago, so I had like 3 or 4 bags to carry. I took Southwest, so I gave you 2 free bags, which was nice. But I definitely forgot a lot of things. But then I'm sorry to do this, but I also ordered a bunch of things from this unnamed company, and I accumulated a lot of things. And then on top of that, like going to things like the Student Involvement Fair and just like different club events, you get a lot of free stuff, like whether that's food or candy, but like they also give phone backs and stickers and like bags and all that stuff. So I definitely had a lot of stuff by the end of freshman year, to the point where my dad was pretty upset. But yeah.
Anybody else bring not enough stuff, too much stuff? How did you handle the move in?
Yeah, I would say just adding on to that, I think that coming into college, I definitely focused on all of the essential things that I just completely forgot the minute things. So, for example, my roommate brought the mini fridge, of course, must have that, but I brought the water filters and I was so proud of that. And I brought like other appliances too. And then I realized we had no cups for them. We had no like plates to heat up stuff. We had no snacks. I was like, okay, this is great. But something that's really cool with BC is when you're a freshman, you can kind of move on to campus around 2 to 3 days earlier than all the other grades. So you kind of have like the campus all to yourself as a freshman. And something that BC does every year is they kind of shut down the local Target and they start busing off all of the freshmen to Target, and you guys can kind of just get all the necessities or all the things that you forgot when you had to move in. And it's just so much fun. You just see everyone running around. There's a DJ somewhere. I never saw the DJ. Everyone claims there was music, so I bet there was a DJ somewhere. But we would all just like grab a bunch of snacks, and I made a bunch of friends there, and then we all went back to our dorms, and it was just super duper fun. So you're never like really hesitant of, oh, I forgot this, because then you can always just do the Target run as well.
Especially, go ahead, Lubins.
Just like one more thing is like, I feel like when I went, I thought I was like Goldilocks. I got the just right amount of stuff. Like I have enough posters, like filled the wall. But I think the more time you spend here, and it's even true for this year. Like the more time you spend here, your room just becomes more and more like home. So you start buying like home like things. Like I bought a fake plant the other day. Like there's no need for me to get a fake plant, but I want my suite to be homey, so I bought a fake plant. So things like that happen a lot, and like what B Joey says, like you get a lot of free goodies from a lot of clubs.
So when you talk to your roommate freshman year, do you use your freshman dorm, again, going back in your memory, as quiet space, as social space, as study space? Like, can a couple of you talk a little bit about how you decided to use your room, especially in that first year? And if you used it for one purpose, what did you do? If you didn't use it to study, where did you study? If you didn't use it to socialize, where did you socialize?
The RA in me is itching to answer this question.
I know you are.
So, what you do when you first move in with your roommate is your RA will have you fill out a roommate agreement form, which basically it's like a contract that you can go to and reference anytime you and your roommate are struggling with, oh, well, this person has too many friends over at 10 o'clock and I'm trying to study. You set out your agreements for how you are going to run your room, live in that space at the very beginning of the year. So what my roommate and I did freshman year was we sat down and we're like, okay, well, we know how to be social, but at the same time, we're trying to get good grades. So let's make a good compromise here. So we decided like up until 8 o'clock, we would have social. You can have whoever you want in. And then from 8 to 10, it's study time. So just be conscious of the other person. And then after 10, we're free to do lights out if we want, kind of settle down for the night. And what's really important there is just maintaining that communication with your roommate, and knowing how to utilize your roommate contract and your RA and other resources that are around. Because I mean, it can be flexible. You can have a crazy exam week one week and need to study a lot more than you had allotted out in your roommate agreement for quiet time. So definitely just communication, and then fall back on the roommate agreement.
I like that. Again, it's good to have an RA, and we're going to use that RA expertise a couple times during this webinar. So thanks, Sophia, for putting yourself out there as an RA. And see, RAs are great. Sometimes you get a bad rap as someone who just does discipline. And I'm sure those moments come, but the community building and the leadership you provide and the mentoring that you provide younger students, I mean, that's what it's all about. And I think you've even showed that through the answer right there. So thank you. Some people are really concerned about the bathroom situation. Now, freshman year, there are community bathrooms. And I'm sure people think about the worst when they envision, 24 guys using the same bathroom. I know that it doesn't necessarily, in my vision of what that's like, it doesn't smell like lavender and roses. So I'm kind of curious to find out if you can recall what your experience was with community bathrooms back in your freshman year. How often they were cleaned? Did you feel comfortable in them? How did they work for you? And again, if a couple of you guys can answer that question.
Yeah, so when I lived in Fenwick last year, I had to use communal bathrooms. They're cleaned 3, 4, 5 times a week. Sometimes I'd spot the cleaning guy in there if it was in early morning and I was in there. Also, like, most of the time, like, one worry I had was like, oh man, if I have to shower and someone else, like, all the showers I filled, like, I'm gonna be so upset, like, I'm just gonna storm back to my room. But that never happened last year. So the bathrooms are usually readily available, the showers are readily available, and like you form a bond with the people on your floor, like through your RA and like through living next door to them. So like seeing them in the bathroom, like you'll give them the occasional hi, and like one of me and one of my roommates, like, we take showers at the same time, and like sometimes we yell at each other, like, from shower to shower, and like have conversations. Or like he'd bring his like waterproof speaker, and like we'll have like a little get together, I guess, in the bathroom. But like I don't know, it was little moments like that that kind of made my freshman year too, like made it so much fun and made it so unique. So
Can someone else like answer that question too? Lobens, no offense. I thought your answer was colorful and wonderful and all that, but I think I'm just going to get maybe a woman's perspective. Ikram?
Well, I actually have to agree with Lubens. I was very worried about like communal showering before my freshman year, but I never also ran into that problem of like whenever I need to take a shower, there was always at least one stall open. And it's not like you go into the shower and like the 50 other people on your floor, you only have like one bathroom stall and one shower stall. There were at least 6 shower stalls in the bathroom on my floor, and then like 10 bathroom stalls. So there was always at least one open. And we also had some of those moments where somebody would bring the speaker in and it would be just like a shower dance party essentially, and everybody's just like switching music, and it was definitely fun times, I do have to say.
Okay. All right. So we talked about the bathrooms. We talked about what's in your room. How about talking about making friends? Now, I don't really know if any of you have friends, but if you were able to navigate socially freshman year, do you find that most of your friends you just made on your hall? Most of your friends were made from clubs? Most of your friends were made from classes? Like how did you get out there and meet people? And I guess because we're talking about residence life, maybe with an eye towards how much did where you lived have an effect on who some of your closer best friends have been?
I'll go. Once again, like, I made a lot of close friends with like people in my building. One of my spots to do homework was like in the lobby, where like I guess everyone walks through, because I guess I wanted that attention. But I do my homework there, and like I get stopped by people and they say hi, and like I'll have conversations with them, and like oh, you live in this building too? Like, and then I'd see them all the time. The people next door to me, like, we got really, really close. They're in my suite this year as a sophomore, so those bonds really did transition over to the next year, and like we're all really close. We'd always play Mario Kart, great icebreaker. You get to see people's true natures when you play that game, so it's always a favorite for us to play. But yeah, I made a lot of friends in my building and also in clubs, but I did make a lot in my building.
Can someone else sort of add a little bit to that in terms of how much their residence hall affected sort of how they get out there socially and some of the first social connections they made?
Definitely some of the first people that I met at BC and some of my closest friends were people that I met during my first week on my floor. And actually one of my current roommates I met freshman year from a floor meeting that our RA put on. So definitely I think a lot of when it comes to making friends, for me at least, it was kind of half and half from like meeting people at different events that our RAs put on and that's how I got to know other people on my hall, and that's how I got close to some of my friends. But then also I met other people through some of the clubs that I was involved in.
How about some of the things that happen in the residence hall, whether that's things that the residence hall association puts on or things that the RA puts on? I mean, is that a good way that people can have an outlet to meet people and to unwind from the stress of classes, et cetera?
I'll take it. Yeah, of course. So the RAs, especially freshman year, put such an emphasis on what we call programming, which is basically when they'll have like fun events at night for the people on their floor to attend. So freshman year, they'll either happen on Tuesday or Wednesday nights. If they're on Tuesdays, it's called a hoot, hanging out Tuesdays. And if a Wednesday, it's a howl, hanging out Wednesdays late, because it's at like 10 o'clock. So pretty creative, but basically what your RAs will do is they'll have some sort of activity or food to bribe you to come to their program. So I remember some of my fondest memories from my freshman year residence hall was sitting on the floor in the hallway because my RA's room wasn't big enough to hold all the kids on my floor, sitting, eating cookies that she had brought us, and doing these little reflection mason jar things that she had as an activity that day. So we definitely put on a lot of programs. Freshman year, when you move in, there's something called Welcome Week, which is when you will really get close with the kids on your floor. Your RA will meet with you a lot and kind of help you transition into BC. And that's when you get to meet a lot of people through Res Life as well. Really just Res Life and RHA, which I think Chris mentioned, the Residence Hall Association. They'll put on events all the time too, all over campus, with seemingly no budget. They do really cool things.
We want to get to know people. You want to do social things with the people that you meet in the hall. Another social place is the dining hall. So a lot of people are asking questions in the Q&A about the food. And that's an important part about residence life. You're stuck with our food. Like if all we had was dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets, like that's all you got. So what we have for food and the options and the timing is really important, because dining is a social experience, not just a nutritional experience. So maybe one or two of us can talk about dining options and how you've used the dining options over the years.
Yeah, I can get started on this one. I think, so I lived on Newton freshman year, and so Newton has their own dining hall called Stewart Hall, which I personally think is the best dining hall on campus. But it's special because, like Jacky said, there's only 40% of freshmen living on that campus, which means that during dinner and like breakfast, there's only going to be freshmen eating food in the dining hall, so you can just go up and sit next to anyone. During lunch, our law school is also on Newton campus, so you'll see some more of those students, but lots of freshmen are going to be on main campus doing classes. But I would say for the dining hall specifically, they do a really good job of making sure there's things to bond about, I guess. So every month they have this thing called a like cultural night or a season night where they'll feature a certain type of food. So I like vividly remember freshman year, they had Italian night one month, and they just had so many good things that they really go all out for those events. They put like tablecloths on the table and everyone's like dressed up at the dining hall. So it's pretty cool to go there. And I remember like every month when they had that event, I would get dinner with one specific friend and we would just like make a whole event out of it where we'd go and like actually sit and talk and reflect and do all that. So we kind of use it as like a break to our day as well, and a chance to reflect on our month.
Anybody else want to talk about the food options, the places that they dine, your favorite places to eat on campus?
Yeah, I can hop on this. So something that's actually really cool about BC dining in general is that we are not a swipe-based system like the majority of colleges. We are a debit-based system. So what that means is instead of going in and kind of just using that swipe to eat all that you can eat, it's more of like a social atmosphere. So let's say like you're running between class and you just want a cup of coffee, because that's always me. You can just run in, get a cup of coffee. They'll charge you for just that cup of coffee. You can go back into the dining hall an hour after your class ends. So with that, like I'll meet my friends there. You'll meet professors in the dining halls. Sometimes clubs will meet in the dining halls. It's actually like really, really fun. So a lot of us do spend a lot of our time there just because it's a good place to sometimes study. It sounds weird, but it's great. But also just to eat and like meet with friends and things like that. In terms of like favorite food places, B-Joy is so right. Like I'm a stickler for Newton campus. Their paninis are absolutely phenomenal, but my favorite place is Eagle's Nest. So basically they can have like make your own salads. They have Eagles bowls, which is like kind of the closest thing on campus to your Chipotle, which I'm like obsessed with. So I love that. And they even just do like other panini pressers as well. And that's like a very, very, very popular spot amongst the undergraduates here.
Food's important, can't be underestimated. Let's start to move the clock ahead because none of you are freshmen anymore. I could just tell by the wisdom. I can tell by what has been coming out of all these answers. So talk about where you go from freshman year. Our freshman year, you have to live with a community bathroom. You have to live in a hall of men and women. How do things change as you move up in the world? So can someone talk about sophomore housing and upperclassmen housing at BC? What are the options? How does it work?
Yeah, I can start this one off. So sophomore year, you can either still live in traditional style housing, but you also have the opportunity to live in suite style housing, where the most common is the 8-man suite. So you'll have 7 other roommates, 4 bedrooms, but you also have a common room, like a living room, and then like a small kitchenette. So you have a fridge and like a sink and some cabinet space, but it's not a full kitchen, so you still have to purchase the meal plan. But then the nicest thing is that you have 2 private bathrooms, so you just only have to share a bathroom with 3 other people, which is really nice and definitely a step up from freshman year.
Can you guys talk about where you're living now? Because you're all, again, not freshmen anymore. And you kind of know where I'm going to go with this after I ask where you live, because maybe you can pick up your laptop and maybe like give us a 360 view of what's going on in your room. And so can you talk a little bit about just the, without nicknames, kind of the building that you're in and how it's set up? I saw how this really scared you, Jacky, so why don't you go first?
Sure, why not? So I live at Stayer Hall. So this is mostly a junior dorm at Boston College. So as Ikram mentioned, we do have a lot of 8-mans here because you kind of get that option starting your sophomore year. I was looking around to kind of just like make sure that everything's kind of in order just in case Chris called on me, which absolutely he did. But I will show you my common room. So as Ikram said, I have 7 roommates, and basically, let's see. We have this wonderful tapestry that my friend brought. Basically, one of my friends just brought all of our decorations. We get these couches. Pillow is a little bit out of order. Sorry about that. But we have our little couch covers, a lot of lights here. You kind of get this storage up here, which is very helpful. We haven't made the best of it, but we'll soon make the best of it. My favorite spot is right here. You can't really see at nighttime, sadly, but like I'll sit here during the day and you can look outside and see like a bunch of students. Across here is Walsh Hall, the sophomore dorm. I lived there my sophomore year, so that's fun. And then we have more lights here, and then you'll see our TV, which my friend also brought, big shocker. And that is basically my common room. We do have a table here. We have another small seat. And then I can't really show you much besides that, but I can show you our front door, and we hang up our masks over there just so we can always remember when we go to campus.
All right, well done, Jacky. You should be on HGTV. That was so well done. Can I have another volunteer?
Yeah, I can go. My room is free.
Wait, you're in the middle of campus, B-Joy. How could you ever, how can that happen?
Well, I'll just turn off my virtual background.
Very
Cool.
classy.
Okay, so this is my room right here. That's my side. We kind of did like a weird setup where we have one bed there and then one bed against the wall right there. And then our dressers are right here, and that's my little calendar. That's my monitor I was talking about earlier. And then this is my roommate's stuff. So a little bit of a different setup, but definitely something that we played around with and it works to our liking. So yeah.
Okay, I'll be honest, not as descriptive as Jacky.
Sorry, I tried.
Lacking in tapestries and some really, really nice touches, but we appreciate the effort. Sophia?
Yeah, sure. So my room is kind of an anomaly, guys, because it is an RA room. So do you guys know I'm an RA, by the way? I don't know if I mentioned that yet. I can give you a
Don't
little.
go off about it, Sophia. That's the next question I'm going to ask, but that's fine. Go ahead.
So yeah, definitely most rooms are not this large. For some reason, I just got such a spacious one this year. So that's my closet. Here's my bed. I do have a desk. Here's my lighting situation. I guess I'll just walk you guys. You have to excuse me because here's a close-up of the closet. I was making a mug cake with such haste that my kitchen is kind of a mess, but I do have a bathroom that I can show you. And I'll just give you like a quick view of the rest of the living room, kitchen, mini fridge, all that stuff. So they definitely do set us up nice as RAs, but I don't know, Chris, would you like me to talk about normal senior housing?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So I'll talk about where my friends are living right now because that's where I spend 60% of my time. So my friends are living in what we lovingly call the mods or the modulars, which were, they kind of look like red shoeboxes. They were built as a temporary housing measure 50 years ago this year, actually. And they have 2 floors, 3 bedrooms, so there are 6 girls who live there together. They have 2 showers, 2 bathrooms, a common space, and a little kitchen with, you know, an oven, a fridge, a microwave, which they brought, I think, sink, all the basic kitchen amenities. And the mods are such a hallmark of Boston College residential life. They're really not that nice. They were built so long ago. They're a little bit grubby, a little bit unclean, but everybody is so obsessed with them. And every time BC threatens to tear them down because they're old, the alumni revolt and they threaten to stop funding the school because it's just such a fun experience. They have their own little backyards with grills and whatnot. So on the weekends, we'll go out and make burgers for ourselves out in the back patio with a picnic bench. And so, yeah, I can't show you any pictures, but that is, in my humble opinion, the best senior housing. But other than that, it's mostly suite style, as was mentioned before.
Most of our students live on campus and want to. A huge number of our seniors prefer to live on campus. But there is a small off-campus dimension at Boston College. There are some juniors and a few seniors that live off campus. I don't think that was that part of any of your experiences, but you know of them and you had friends that have done it. Can any of you comment on maybe how close these places are and how connected those students feel with the university, just through your friends' experience, perhaps?
Yeah, so junior year is usually the year where most students live off campus, and I'm a junior, and although I live in on-campus housing, I live in the Reservoir Apartments, which is technically not on campus, it's just a building that BC owns, and pretty much all off-campus housing is right across the street, and if you're a junior, you're pretty much living on one of those streets along Com Ave, and even though these students are off campus, it's like pretty much it's like a 10 to 15 minute walk from campus. So honestly, it's essentially just an extension of campus. There are just a bunch of these houses that are passed from BC student to BC student every single year. And it's for students who do live off campus, it's just such a fun part of their experience. So I have a lot of friends who are currently living off campus and they really love having that like trial period of independence where they like have to deal with the landlord and paying rent and all that kind of stuff. So definitely, even if you have 3 years of on-campus housing and you have to move off campus your junior year, it's such a big part of the BC experience, and the people who do live off campus don't really mind it all too much.
I think so too. There are a ton of questions that have been bombing in, and I want to address some of them. And I'm just going to rapid fire through some of them and just call on you guys for your quick answer to these questions, okay? So it'll be like a lightning round. So let's try to get through as many as we can. Try to be brief, 30 seconds or less, if you can do it, all right? A couple people have asked about the weather. Ikram, you're from a warm weather state. Talk about that transition, and did you buy your warm weather stuff up here? Did you pack it? How did it work for you?
Yeah, so from Texas, definitely a big change in climate. I bought a lot of my winter stuff here because honestly, I don't think anything that I could have bought from the winter in Texas would have been good here. So I came with like the bare necessities, and I got all my winter stuff here in like mid-September. And honestly, it's not that bad. All you need is like a good sturdy coat and maybe some snow boots for when like it ices over and you don't want to slip and slide on your way to class. But that's really all you need. And even I like complain about the cold all the time, but it's honestly not that bad.
Okay. You pushed it on the 30-second thing, but I'll let it pass. Some people have asked about the transportation between Newton and Upper and to other places. Jacky, you were on that bus a lot. Talk about the reliability, how people get it. Is it a real bummer to take the bus? Does it take you other places? Talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our Newton bus. Basically, it will take like a bunch of stops around main campus before circling back to Newton campus, which is nice. The bus itself is around a 5 to minute bus ride. So it's actually really, really fun because you kind of get that 5 minutes to just chill by yourself sometimes, or you run into like some friends on Newton campus on that bus. So it's fun to just chat with them before you get back there. In terms of reliability of the bus, it is pretty good, but something that is really helpful that BC made was the app. So this app will track the bus so you know exactly when they're coming. Sometimes if you want a little bit of a thrill, you don't check the app and then you basically take it last minute and like go run across campus. I've done that. It's so much fun, but if not, check the app, super reliable.
Another question about Newton. How many times did you go back and forth on like a Wednesday? Would you go back and forth once, twice, 3 times? Like how many times would you do that bus?
Yeah, I can take this one. I usually would go to class once and then come back at night. I didn't really like going back and forth because I thought it was like a break in my day, unless I only had 1 or 2 classes in the morning and then I had to come back right away anyway. But if I usually had a meeting late at night on campus, I would just stay on campus, and that's a good chance just to get work done and go to a quiet space and just try to do some work before you have to go back and deal with the craziness of your friends on your floor.
A question about what do you do with your stuff over the summer? You don't bring it back to Chicago, B-Joy. I mean, if you have stuff that's worthy of saving and not just putting in a trash bag and throwing behind you in some Newton dumpster, what do you do with it?
Yeah, I made a bunch of Massachusetts friends when I first got here. Not for the sole purpose of leaving my stuff in their places, but it was nice to have those kind of people to rely on to give my stuff to at the end of the year.
Okay. A lot of people are asking questions about what you do right off campus. All right, so you've had the food on campus. It's pretty good, but it's time for change. Where close by is your go-to to get something to eat? Lubin's, Sophia, what's your go-to local place to eat?
I personally love El Polon, or I'll go to Cleveland Circle just so I can get the real Chipotle like Jacky really loves, because I also love Chipotle. Or I'll get ice cream. There's a lot of local places in like the Alston, Bryan area too that are like low key. So like if you're the first one to find it, you can get that. You can get boba. People love boba. I love boba. A lot of different things. I'm really into food. You can't tell, so I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, Sophia, do you want to add something there?
I was just going to say the same thing. Last night, I took a look at the dining menu, wasn't feeling it. I had a meeting in 10 minutes, and I booked it across the street to El Polon, which is a Mexican place. Came back, made it for the meeting. Yeah, also Pliables.
Do you think that like B-Joy, you're from the Midwest. I do most of my work in the Midwest. A lot of your friends went to U of I or Madison or places where Greek life was a big thing. And that sometimes dictates where you live on campus. It is a part of residence life. Do you think BC's missing anything by not having Greek life?
I would say not at all. Actually, I find a lot of my friends and a lot of my social life through the clubs and organizations that I'm involved in. So I'm one of the clubs I was involved with freshman year is the Emerging Leader Program, where I got to meet 49 other freshmen right before the school year started. And so that was a big source of friends and relationships that I made on campus. And so I think I felt like I got the same type of relationships I would have made in a sorority or fraternity than that I did in the different organizations that I joined. And I don't think it impacts, it does, not having it doesn't impact me negatively at all.
I'd also add that, like, you don't necessarily need to join 30 clubs in order to get 30 friends. Like, I know friends who didn't do any clubs their freshman year, and they made tons of friends, like more friends than I made. I made a good amount of friends. So you don't have to feel pressure to join a bunch of clubs when you come here. Some things may be club centered, but I feel like social life kind of has like a life of its own at BC.
A lot of our questions are about clubs and organizations and maybe how easy it is to get involved and how people get involved. And like you guys said, that certainly fills the void of what a frat or sorority might be. So can one of you or two of you talk about your path to being involved in some of the clubs and organizations that are a big part of your life at BC?
Yeah, I think the most common ways that people get involved, common way, is the student involvement fair, which happens every fall on the first Friday of classes. And basically what it is they take Stokes Lawn, which is one of the biggest open quads on campus, and they cover it with tables and tables and tables stretching along the entire things with all 200 plus clubs that we have here on campus. And they're all screaming at you and yelling and throwing flyers and bribing you with candy to join their email lists. And it's so overwhelming, but so fun. And that's the way you really get involved. So you sign up for like maybe 50 or some absurd number of email lists. Maybe I was crazy as a freshman. And then you start to whittle that down once you go to meetings or get more emails and information from them, figure out what you're really into or you really want to make friends. And then those you stick to and you just kind of ignore, I'm kidding, or unsubscribe from the email list that you no longer are interested in. And again, like those clubs are where I personally met all my really good friends. So just diving into those is what I would suggest.
Sophia, staying with you, someone asked about being an RA and what like your daily responsibilities are like and what the process was to become an RA. So again, we don't want to get to a lot of questions. So just give us like the condensed version of why you wanted to be one, what it was like to become one, what's your day to day.
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to be an RA because I had an amazing freshman year RA who just made the freshman experience of getting to know other people and feeling comfortable and at home at BC so great. So that's why I came into the business. And there is an interview process that you can begin. You can be an RA your sophomore year. I started as a junior. So it's just a group interview and then an individual interview and like paper email or interview that you fill out. Got the job. My day-to-day really consists of a lot of just programming and putting out fires. So like I said, tonight I have a proposal due. I'm going to put on TikTok trivia for my residents, and I'll do a lot of that. If somebody texts me, help, my fridge isn't working, I'll tell them how to put in a work order. And then you do rounds through the building just to make sure everybody's safe a couple of times a month. That condensed.
I think it's great. I mean, I think RAs are a big part of how we maintain the community that we have. So I appreciate the work that you do, and the students do as well. Some more than others, but I certainly think that it's a big part of how we do the tradition, the standards that we have on campus. I really appreciate the work that you do. A lot of people are talking about, coming to college and finding time from where they live in the residence hall to work out and utilize the exercise facilities. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, have any of you made it part of your routine to get more involved in the new recreation complex? And based on where you lived freshman year or now, is it easy, hard? Is it a hike? Is it worth it in terms of getting involved and staying involved with the recreation complex?
Yeah, I definitely say so. One of my roommates is in ROTC, so he kind of inspires me to go and get active when I need to. Also at the Margot O'Connell Recreational Center, you can also participate in intramurals. I know that's the one way I like to get active, because in high school, that was my main way of getting active. I played intramural soccer. It was something I can do, and it wasn't as high of a commitment as, say, a club sport. So if you're looking for something more low key, intramurals are definitely the way to go. There are 3 levels. There's like 4 basketball courts. There's a hot tub. There are swimming lanes. Any physical activity that you think about doing, you can do it there. You can play ping pong too. There's so much you can do there. It's almost like its own little community center. I know I just go there with my friends. We go just to play ping pong, and then we'll end up playing basketball, and then we'll end up working out. So definitely you can do all those things there.
Do you guys feel safe at Boston College based on what BC provides in terms of safety and security and the measures in the residence halls? Can one of you just address whether you feel safe on campus?
Yeah, I've definitely always felt safe on campus, and BC also has like this blue light system where they use poles with blue lights, and if you ever feel unsafe, you can just click on them and a BC PD officer will be there pretty quickly. I've never had to use one. I've never heard of anyone having to use one, but there's definitely options where if you feel unsafe, you can always call for help. And then also, especially like I have done quite a few times, like writing essays overnight, and I've been at the library till like 2 or 3 a.m. and then I have to walk back to my dorm, and I've never felt unsafe walking back to my dorm. There's usually, we're a pretty enclosed campus, so whenever you see anyone on the campus, it's usually another student or a faculty member. So I've never really felt unsafe on campus.
How do you feel now? I mean, we've gone through measures and we're trying to be safe, and we're trying to go through the protocols to make sure that all of you can live together safely. How do you feel on campus right now? We hope that a lot of our viewers will be on campus with a different situation than what you're living with now, but just in general, how do you feel living on campus right now?
I think before I came here, I was pretty apprehensive, because like, this is new. We've never done this. I'm like, will I ever see my friends again? Will I be like locked in my room for the rest of the semester? But I feel like BC has done a pretty good job with the protocols. Everywhere you go, you have to wear a mask, obviously. But inside your residence hall, inside your suite, you are this one family unit. So like, you become even closer with the suite mates you already have. I know I've gotten really close with mine. We've done a lot of things to keep us intrigued. We watch a lot of football games, basketball games. We're also allowed to have 1 guest per person. So like, since there's 8 of us, we're allowed to have 8 other guests. So that's enough people to stimulate my creativity and my creativity. We do a lot of other fun things with other suites. Sometimes we have like a partner suite that we'll partner up with. We'll do certain games together. We'll go outside and we can get active together too. We can play spike ball. That's pretty social distant like. So a lot of fun things you can do during these times. Good.
I mean, this is what it is. We're trying the best that we can. And I appreciate that. We're going to wrap up. As I wrap up and cover a couple of last pieces about residence life, please look at the boxes where our panelists have their names and their email addresses and take a quick look at that. I haven't been able to keep up with all the questions. I think we covered many of them, but certainly our student volunteers would be happy to go into depth about anything particular, dietary restrictions and how they may work, or certain buildings and how they work, or how they made their choices in terms of residence life. This is the stuff that we love to talk about and we really appreciate. The most common question is something I probably should have started with at the beginning, is that when you get admitted, if you get admitted, right in the 3rd paragraph of your letter, it'll tell you how much campus housing you've been granted. And some students get 3 and some students get 4. A majority of students at Boston College have 3 years of housing. And 3 years of housing in the culture of BC is using it freshman year, sophomore year, and senior year. Junior years become traditionally the year that students, if they're going to have 3 years of housing, would be off campus. Students who have 4 years of housing guaranteed may also choose to take their junior year. They don't have to stay on campus. But senior year is a very important part of living at Boston College. And that's something that we've come to embrace, that we have good facilities and we have great traditions. And we love that our seniors are back. There's so much informal and formal mentoring that our seniors do in the community, it's great to have them on campus. It's important to us. Junior year became the year for students that had 3 years of housing because of the predominance of including a study abroad semester in students' career at Boston College. The junior year is just easier to manipulate off campus because you could live in an apartment for half the year and sublet it for half the year. And if you chose to live on campus, well, you may not be with roommates that you've known. You may have to be sort of wedged into a room that already has, has one opening, but already has different people living in other rooms. It's a difficult spot. So it just seemed that junior year, if you were going to live off campus, junior year seemed to make sense. Who gets 4 years of housing? Well, those are choices that admissions makes. We give some through the admissions process, what we think are the top percentage of students that apply. You're using the criteria that we use for admission. We give our nurses 4 years of housing because they have clinicals at off times, and we want to make sure that they're there with us. We give our scholarship athletes 4 years of housing. That's what is common at other places. So we feel to be competitive, we need to have 4 years of housing for them. So we pick small constituencies because we can't give everyone a blanket 4 years of housing on campus. So junior year is that year where students may take advantage of what we have off campus. But freshman year, last year, there really weren't any commuters. Senior year, it's only 2 or 3% of the seniors that remain off campus. We're really a campus-driven school. 7,900 of our 9,300 students are going to be on campus, and we love it that they're on campus. We just need to see you around more. It's hard to recognize you guys sometimes with the masks on. Maybe you recognize me before I recognize you, but I look forward to seeing you guys around more on campus. You are a great resource for all of our people that tuned in. And for our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. We have other programs throughout the month of September and early October. Keep an eye on the student ones. As the advisor to the student admissions program, I'm kind of partial to the way the students do explain their life at Boston College. I think our students do it better than any other student volunteers around the country, and I'll stake my reputation on that. You guys did a great job, and I really appreciate your time and your honesty, and I think they do too. And if you want to reach out to them, I urge you to do it. And you can reach out to me too. You can find my information on the website, Chris O'Brien, Associate Director of Admissions. I'm going to take my leave of you. Good luck. Have a good year. Go to school safely. Good luck with your college process. Thanks for your interest in Boston College. Have a good night.